Move along, you're blocking my view. Don't touch me, you probably can't even write code. I don't shake hands with people like you. Security, remove him!
Victoria Morgan pulled both hands behind her back. The black man's outstretched hand hung in the air between them. Don't touch me. I don't shake hands with people who probably can't even write basic code. She stepped backward, her eyes scanning him from head to toe. Security really needs to be more careful about who they let in here. Anyone can just walk in these days. The ballroom went completely silent. 600 tech executives turned to stare. I apologize if Marcus Davis began, keeping his voice steady and calm. You apologize? Victoria laughed sharply. Do you even understand where you are right now? This is a conference for serious investors, real capital, not some diversity showcase. She waved her hand dismissively, like brushing away an insect. Move along, you're blocking my view of the stage. Marcus slowly lowered his hand, adjusted his cufflinks, and smiled just slightly. Good luck with your presentation today, Ms. Morgan. He turned and walked away with complete dignity. Have you ever watched someone destroy their only lifeline? What happened in the next 73 hours completely ruined her. 49 hours earlier, Marcus Davis stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his downtown Seattle penthouse. Morning sunlight painted the University of Washington campus golden below. His French press sat cooling on the granite counter. Market terminals blinked with real-time data across 4 mounted screens. His phone vibrated. His managing partner was calling. Morning, Sarah. The Tech Vision Analytics file just landed in your inbox. The conference is this Friday. They're in serious trouble. Marcus scrolled through the report on his tablet. Revenue projections dropping. Cash reserves at dangerous levels. Board demanding emergency funding. How serious is their situation? 32 days until they completely collapse. They need $160 million. We're the only investment firm still willing to meet with them. Marcus had built Davis Capital Group from absolutely nothing 6 years ago. 3 successful tech exits before age 31 had given him the starting capital. His degree from Stanford in computer science had given him the technical knowledge. Growing up with almost nothing in inner-city Philadelphia had given him the drive he needed. Now his investment fund controlled $3.1 billion, 25 portfolio companies. He'd made the Forbes Midas list 4 years in a row. He dressed simply that morning. Plain black shirt, dark jeans, no designer labels, no obvious status symbols. People revealed their true character when they believed you had nothing to offer them. Across the city, Victoria Morgan stepped out of her Tesla in the Sheraton Hotel's underground parking structure. Her executive assistant trailed behind, juggling 4 coffees and a thick presentation binder. Did you confirm all the investor meetings? Victoria didn't bother looking back. Yes, but several of them called this morning. They mentioned scheduling problems. Victoria's jaw clenched tight. Which ones canceled? Sequoia, Benchmark, Greylock, 4 of the most prominent firms in Silicon Valley. Victoria's hands started shaking slightly as she grabbed her latte. The foam design looked wrong. This is oat milk. I specifically said almond. She pushed it back aggressively. Do it over. Her assistant's face fell completely. The coffee shop is right there. I can just go back and I don't pay you to give me excuses. Victoria had inherited substantial wealth. Stanford legacy admission through family connections. Her father's network had opened absolutely every door for her. She'd never experienced real rejection. Tech Vision Analytics had looked unstoppable 4 years ago. $900 million valuation. Revolutionary data intelligence technology. But competitors had caught up quickly. Major clients had left for other platforms. The board had started asking increasingly difficult questions. She desperately needed this conference. She needed fresh investors. She needed them to believe in the company turnaround strategy. Where are you from? Tell us in the comments below. And if you're loving this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more. In the hotel main lobby, she walked past a janitor emptying waste bins. Latino man, probably in his 50s. He nodded respectfully. Victoria completely ignored him. She never acknowledged service workers. Her phone displayed 8 missed calls from her CFO. She ignored every single one. He'd been warning her about their cash crisis for months now, talking constantly about layoffs and budget cuts. She refused to hear any of it. The ballroom was filling rapidly with tech executives. Business suits mixed with startup founders in casual hoodies. Venture capitalists scanning the crowd for their next billion-dollar opportunity. Victoria's executive team gathered near the bar area. The presentation deck is completely loaded, her marketing director said. 46 minutes total, then questions and answers. The TechCrunch journalist is sitting in the fourth row. Perfect. Make absolutely sure she notices the revenue projections on slide 13. Victoria about those specific numbers. They're completely accurate, forward-looking growth metrics. Investors fully understand these projections. Her marketing director exchanged a quick glance with the CFO. Neither person said anything more. A conference organizer approached holding a tablet. Ms. Morgan, we're truly honored to have you speaking. Just a quick reminder that we have several major investment funds attending today. Make sure you network extensively during the reception hour. I always network effectively. Victoria scanned the crowded room carefully. Anyone particularly important I should know about? Well, there's one mystery investor who specifically requested complete privacy, extremely influential. His fund manages billions. Victoria's interest immediately sharpened. What's his name? He strongly prefers staying completely low profile until tomorrow's keynote address. Point him out the moment he arrives. The organizer hesitated noticeably. I'm not entirely sure I would recognize him personally. He actively avoids photographs. Victoria waved her away dismissively. Real power always announces itself clearly. You could always identify serious money by observing the watch, the shoes, the tailored suit. She accepted a champagne glass from a server passing by. Scanned the room once more. Sequoia had canceled on her. Greylock had canceled. But someone truly significant was definitely here. Someone who could write a 160 million check without hesitation. She just needed to identify and approach him. At the back of the ballroom, Marcus Davis entered very quietly. No entourage following him. No business cards ready in his pocket. He'd learned years ago that the most valuable deals happen when people had no idea who you actually were. He watched Victoria holding court near the presentation stage. Loud, artificial laughter. Dismissive hand gestures toward her assistant, the type of person who treated staff members like office furniture. His phone buzzed gently. Text message from Sarah. Did you review her leadership team composition yet? Marcus had already seen it. 9 executives total, all white, in the most racially diverse region in the entire country. He'd almost passed on this deal completely already, but he believed deeply in giving people second chances. Everyone deserved basic benefit of the doubt. He straightened his shirt collar and walked directly toward her circle of executives. The networking reception buzzed with animated conversations about company valuations and market disruption opportunities. Marcus moved through the crowd with practiced, easy confidence. He'd been studying tech vision thoroughly for 4 weeks. Strong underlying technology. Absolutely terrible leadership culture. Victoria's voice carried loudly across the entire room. She stood surrounded by 6 executives, all holding champagne, all laughing enthusiastically at her stories. Marcus approached the outer edge of their circle, and that's exactly why we don't waste valuable time on Victoria stopped speaking mid-sentence. Her eyes landed directly on him. Scanned his plain black shirt, his jeans, his complete lack of a visible conference badge on a lanyard. Her marketing director noticed him standing there too. Excuse me, could you possibly bring us more champagne? The circle went completely quiet. Someone coughed uncomfortably. Marcus smiled politely. I'm actually attending the conference. Awkward silence settled heavily. Another person coughed. Oh, the marketing director's face turned bright red. I'm sorry, I just assumed Victoria didn't apologize at all. She simply turned back to her conversation, dismissing him entirely through her body language. Marcus waited another moment, then cleared his throat very gently. Ms. Morgan, I've been following TechVision's third-quarter strategic pivot. Really impressive move into healthcare data analytics. Victoria's shoulders went completely rigid. She turned slowly, her eyes narrowing suspiciously. And exactly who are you? Marcus Davis. He extended his hand calmly. I work in venture capital investment. Victoria's gaze traveled deliberately from his face down to his outstretched hand. She stared at it like he'd offered her something disgusting. She didn't move forward at all. Instead, she placed both hands very deliberately behind her back, stepped backward noticeably. Her nose actually wrinkled. I don't shake hands with people who probably can't even write basic code. The circle completely froze. Champagne glasses stopped halfway to people's lips. Marcus's hand remained extended, perfectly steady, patient, and calm. Victoria continued speaking. This conference has really dropped its standards dramatically. Security should verify badges much more carefully. Anyone can apparently just walk in off the street nowadays. Several executives shifted very uncomfortably. One person looked down at his phone. Another suddenly needed a drink refill. I apologize if Marcus began speaking. You apologize? Victoria's laugh was ice cold. Let me take a guess here. Diversity hire at some mediocre investment firm. They gave you an impressive title and sent you out to network. Her CFO touched her elbow gently. Victoria, perhaps she shook him off roughly. I'm sure you're extremely articulate, but tech vision requires truly sophisticated investors. People who genuinely understand complex financial structures. Marcus slowly lowered his hand to his side. His face remained completely calm, even pleasant. Where did you attend university? Victoria tilted her head mockingly. Community college, some online program, Stanford, actually. Marcus kept his voice perfectly level. Victoria made a dismissive snorting sound. Right, absolutely. And I'm sure that's where you learned to crash exclusive professional events. She waved her hand dismissively like shooing away an annoying insect. Can you please move? You're completely blocking my view of the main stage. The conference organizer rushed over quickly, her face visibly flushed. Ms. Morgan, I was just coming to introduce. I don't need introductions to random party crashers. Victoria cut her off sharply. She pulled out her phone, held it up threateningly. Should I call security myself, or will he leave voluntarily? Multiple phones emerged from pockets around them. Recording lights started blinking red. Marcus calmly adjusted his cufflinks. Tom Ford, $600 each. Victoria didn't notice them at all. I completely understand. His voice stayed remarkably steady. I genuinely hope your presentation goes extremely well, Ms. Morgan. He turned with complete dignity, walked away without any hurry whatsoever. Behind him, Victoria laughed very loudly. Did everyone just see that? The absolute audacity. This is precisely why we maintain strict hearing standards at Tech Vision. Her marketing director leaned in close, whispering urgently. Victoria, I think that might actually have been I don't care who he thinks he is. She drained her entire champagne glass. Real investors always dress like actual professionals. 32 feet away, 4 venture capitalists whispered together urgently. One pulled up his phone immediately, started typing rapidly. His face went completely pale. Oh no, no, what's wrong? I just searched his name online. That's Marcus Davis. Davis Capital Group, 3.1 billion under active management. The color drained completely from the second investor's face. The Davis Capital, the firm that made Sequoia look small last year. He's been on the Forbes Midas list 4 consecutive years. Wasn't Tech Vision desperately searching for 160 million? Davis Capital could write that as a single check without blinking. They all looked across the room together. Victoria was still holding court, completely oblivious. Her CFO was frantically typing on his phone with shaking hands. The whispers spread rapidly. Investor to investor, executive to executive. By the bar area, a tech journalist opened Twitter, started typing quickly. Holy shit. Just watched the Tech Vision CEO refuse to shake hands with a major VC. She literally backed away and questioned his education level. Full video coming shortly. This is absolutely catastrophic. Her colleague looked over her shoulder at the phone. You're posting that right now? This is going to explode everywhere. The tweet went live immediately. In the first 6 minutes, 19 people retweeted it. Victoria remained completely oblivious to everything. She was actively networking with a group of older white male investors. They nodded approvingly as she spoke about maintaining proper standards. Too many tech companies are lowering the bar dramatically in the name of forced diversity. Victoria said confidently. Tech Vision succeeds because we hire only the absolute best. Absolutely correct, one agreed enthusiastically. Merit should always matter most. Exactly my point. I just had to deal with someone who clearly didn't belong here at all. You absolutely have to maintain clear boundaries. Her assistant approached carefully, phone screen facing outward. Victoria, you really need to see this immediately. Not right now. Victoria didn't even look. I'm networking with important people. But this is extremely important. I already said not now. The assistant stepped back quickly, her face tight with genuine worry. Across the ballroom, Marcus sat quietly in the back row. He opened his tablet computer, pulled up Tech Vision's complete due diligence file. The one his team had spent 4 weeks carefully assembling. Revenue projections artificially inflated. Customer retention rates declining steadily. Leadership diversity absolutely zero. He'd already seen plenty of red flags in their financials, but he'd wanted to meet Victoria face to face. Give her genuine benefit of the doubt. People could sometimes surprise you positively. She had surprised him, just not in any way he'd hoped. He opened his secure messaging app, typed quickly to Sarah. Cancel the Tech Vision deal immediately, full stop. What happened there? I'll explain everything later, just kill it completely. Are you absolutely certain? The underlying technology is actually solid. Marcus glanced across the room. Victoria was laughing loudly, champagne held high, completely unaware that her lifeline had just completely evaporated. I'm completely certain. Davis Capital doesn't invest in companies with toxic leadership cultures. Understood completely. Marcus closed his tablet. He'd stay for the full conference. He was scheduled to deliver tomorrow morning's keynote address. The organizers had specifically asked him to speak about ethical investing principles. He had some very clear thoughts on that topic now. Victoria's voice carried across the entire room again. The fundamental problem with tech today is everyone thinks they automatically deserve a seat at the table, but some of us actually earned our positions. Applause from her circle, mostly older investors, the kind who'd never faced a single closed door. A younger venture capitalist stood up and walked out silently. Then another one left. Within 5 minutes, 6 people had left Victoria's immediate area. Her marketing director noticed immediately. People are leaving early. They're just networking elsewhere. It's completely fine. Victoria, I really think you should check Twitter immediately. Stop being so paranoid about everything. She smoothed her expensive dress carefully. Now where exactly is that mystery investor, the one with billions that the organizer mentioned earlier? Her marketing director and CFO exchanged very significant glances. Neither person answered her question. In the hallway outside, investors clustered in small, urgent groups. Phones out everywhere, faces extremely serious. Did you see the video already? It's already at 62,000 views. Tech Vision's board is going to absolutely lose it. I heard 4 clients already called their account representatives. She's completely finished. Nobody will touch that company now. Inside the ballroom, the conference organizer took the main stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin the main presentations in 11 minutes. Please find your seats. Victoria strode confidently to the front row. In control, ready to save her entire company. She had absolutely no idea she'd already destroyed everything. Her phone sat in her designer bag, completely silenced. 25 missed calls from various board members, 51 text messages, 394 Twitter mentions. The video had gone completely viral. 2.3 million views and climbing rapidly. Victoria stepped onto the stage confidently. Applause scattered weakly through the ballroom. Noticeably weaker than she'd expected. Half the seats sat completely empty now. Where did everyone go? She whispered to her marketing director standing in the wings. Bathroom break probably, nothing to worry about. The screen behind her lit up brightly. Tech Vision Analytics logo, bold tagline, data intelligence for tomorrow's leaders. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Victoria Morgan, and I'm here to explain why Tech Vision represents the future of enterprise data analytics. In the 5th row, a tech journalist typed rapidly. Her article was already halfway written. The working headline, Tech Vision CEO's racist outburst caught on camera. Victoria clicked to her second slide. Revenue projections showing extremely aggressive growth. As you can clearly see, we are positioned for 310% expansion over the next 19 months. A hand shot up in the back row. Young investor. South Asian woman. Yes, Victoria pointed at her directly. Can you speak to your diversity metrics? I noticed your leadership team is entirely we hire the absolute best talent available. Victoria's tone sharpened noticeably. Tech Vision succeeds because we focus entirely on merit, not artificial quotas. We don't engage in diversity theater. Uncomfortable shifting throughout the entire room. 4 more people stood up and walked out silently. Next question. Victoria's smile looked completely painted on, forced. A venture capitalist in the sixth row raised his hand slowly. Your cash burn rate suggests serious concerns. Our finances are extremely strong. Victoria cut him off immediately. Anyone who genuinely understands complex financial instruments would see that very clearly. The venture capitalist sat down heavily, his face flushed red with embarrassment. In the back row, Marcus watched everything silently, taking careful notes. His expression revealed absolutely nothing. Victoria continued through her prepared slides, customer testimonials, technology advantages, market opportunity analysis. Then Marcus raised his hand calmly. Victoria's eyes landed on him immediately. Her face hardened into stone. I'm extremely sorry. This session is for actual investors only. Her voice projected across the entire ballroom, not random guests who wandered in off the street. Gasps rippled through the audience immediately. Marcus remained seated, perfectly calm. I just have a technical question about your data privacy compliance and security protocols. Victoria pointed directly at him. Can someone please escort this individual out immediately? He's been harassing our team all day long. A security guard near the door shifted very uncomfortably, looked at the conference organizer with confusion. The organizer rushed to the stage, whispering urgently. Ms. Morgan, that's not Victoria, ignored her completely, spoke directly into the microphone. He became aggressive earlier when I politely declined his business card. I don't feel safe continuing with him in the room. Phones shot up everywhere, recording lights, the view count climbing in real time. Marcus stood very slowly, gathered his tablet carefully, made absolutely no sudden movements. I apologize for any discomfort. His voice carried despite having no microphone. I'll step outside. He walked toward the exit, unhurried, completely dignified. As he passed the fourth row, a prominent female CEO stood up, followed him out silently, then another investor, then 4 more people. Victoria watched with confusion flickering across her face. As I was saying, 6 more people walked out silently. Her marketing director stood in the wings, frantically waving his phone at her with genuine panic. Victoria powered through determinedly. TechVision's competitive advantage lies in the journalist in the fourth row stood, closed her laptop, left immediately. 11 more followed her out. The ballroom was now 3/4 empty. Victoria's voice cracked noticeably. Where is everyone going? My presentation isn't even finished. In the hallway, investors clustered around Marcus immediately. Mr. Davis, I had no idea she would please accept our sincere apologies for Davis Capital is still considering other opportunities in this sector. Of course. Elijah smiled politely. Professional, I appreciate your concern, if you'll excuse me. He walked to the hotel's business center. Quiet, private. He pulled out his phone. His notifications had completely exploded. Text messages, emails, missed calls. David just saw the video. I'm so sorry. His attorney, call me immediately. We may have grounds for legal action. Forbes editor, can I get a statement? He ignored them all, opened Twitter. The video had 18.4 million views, 5 hours. The hashtag TechVision racism was trending #1 globally. Comments flooded in by the thousands. She literally called security on him for asking a question. The way she said people like that made my skin crawl. This is what racism looks like in Silicon Valley. And he stayed so calm, that composure. Marcus scrolled through them, his jaw tight. This wasn't about him anymore. This was bigger. He clicked on a thread from a former TechVision employee. Black woman, senior engineer. I worked at TechVision for 9 months. Victoria called me articulate in my first meeting. Asked if I was a cultural fit at least 6 times. I was paid $23,000 less than my white colleague who started the exact same day. When I asked for equal pay, they said my communication style wasn't leadership material. The thread had 46 more tweets, each one detailing a clear pattern. Other former employees joined in immediately. Asian engineer, Latino developer, Black marketing manager, all the same stories, all the same treatment. Back in the ballroom, Victoria finished her presentation to 79 people. The applause was golf clap polite. She stepped off stage, her face flushed red. What the hell just happened? Her CFO thrust his phone at her immediately. This is what happened. Victoria stared at the screen. The video. Her own face twisted in disgust, her own voice. I don't shake hands with people who probably can't even write basic code. The view counter ticked upward as she watched. 19 million, 19.1, 19.2. Oh my God, it gets worse. Her marketing director pulled up Twitter. Former employees are coming forward. They're saying this is a pattern. Victoria scrolled through the threads. Her hands shook badly. These are lies, disgruntled employees. We should sue Victoria. Her CFO's voice was ice. 4 of our biggest clients just canceled their contracts. That's $47 million in annual revenue. Gone, they can't do that. They cited the morality clause. They absolutely can. Her phone rang, board member. She declined the call. It rang again. Different board member, declined. They're demanding an emergency meeting, her marketing director said quietly. Tonight. This is insane. I did nothing wrong. I was just what? Her CFO's composure cracked. Just incredibly racist to one of the most powerful investors in Silicon Valley. I didn't know who he was. That's not a defense, Victoria. That's not a defense at all. That makes it worse. Her assistant appeared, face completely pale. Your 2 o'clock meeting canceled, and your 4 o'clock, and the dinner with Lightspeed Ventures, rescheduled? No, canceled. They said not interested in moving forward. Victoria's legs felt weak. She sat heavily in a conference room chair. This will blow over. These things always do. In a weak Victoria, her marketing director's voice was gentle, pitying. This isn't blowing over. You're trending above the president, above the Super Bowl. 24 million people have watched you refuse to shake a black man's hand. I was under stress. The company is struggling, and stop. Her CFO held up a hand. Every word you say right now is being recorded by someone. Just stop. Victoria's phone buzzed. Email from the board chair. Subject line, emergency meeting required. She opened it. The board of directors requires your presence tonight at 7 p.m. This meeting is mandatory. Failure to attend will result in immediate termination for cause. Her hands trembled. She'd founded this company, built it from absolutely nothing. 9 years of her life. We should issue an apology, her assistant suggested quietly. I'm not apologizing for having standards, Victoria. Her CFO slammed his hand on the table hard. Your standards just cost us everything. The company is toxic now. No investor will touch us. No client wants their name associated with us. And you, he stopped, took a breath. You need to resign tonight before they fire you. Victoria's face went white. I built this company. You also destroyed it. Her CFO's voice was flat, final, in less than 6 hours. Outside, the sun set over Seattle Bay. Inside the Sheraton conference, attendees whispered in clusters, checking phones, shaking heads. Tomorrow was supposed to be the keynote, the mystery investor revealing himself. Everyone was buzzing about who it might be. Some had already guessed correctly. The organizer stood in the empty ballroom, phone pressed to her ear. Yes, Mr. Davis's keynote is still scheduled for 10 a.m. No, he hasn't canceled. She hung up, looked at the rows of empty chairs. Tomorrow's session was going to be standing room only. Everyone wanted to hear what Marcus Davis had to say. 10, the ballroom was packed, every seat filled. People lined the walls, cameras from TechCrunch, Bloomberg, The Verge. Everyone wanted to witness this. Victoria sat in the back corner, baseball cap pulled low, sunglasses indoors. Her CFO had insisted she attend. You need to see this. The conference organizer took the stage. The room fell silent. Good morning. Before we begin today's sessions, we have a very special keynote address. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Our speaker has revolutionized venture capital. His fund has invested $3.1 billion in transformative companies. He's been on the Forbes Midas list for 4 consecutive years. Victoria's stomach dropped. No, please no. His portfolio includes 18 unicorns, companies you use every day, technologies that changed entire industries. The screen behind the organizer lit up. Logos appeared. Major tech companies, household names, combined valuation, $13.2 billion. Victoria's hands went cold. He's known for walking away from profitable deals when leadership doesn't align with his values. The audience leaned forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder of Davis Capital Group, Marcus Davis. The room erupted. Standing ovation. Thunderous applause. Marcus walked onto the stage. Same black shirt, same jeans, same quiet confidence. Victoria couldn't breathe. Her vision tunneled. The man she'd refused to shake hands with. The man she'd called uneducated. The man she'd had security remove. He controlled billions. He was the mystery investor. The one who could have saved her company with a single check. Her CFO leaned close, whispered, "That's the investor we needed. 160 million, he could have written it without blinking." Victoria's phone trembled in her hands. She searched his name frantically. Forbes profile loaded, net worth 1.3 billion, education, Stanford Computer Science. Summa cum laude, background, built and sold 3 startups before age 31, known for ethical investing, supporting diverse founders, walking away from toxic leadership. A photo showed him at last year's Forbes summit, standing between the CEOs of Apple and Microsoft, equal footing. She treated him like trash. The applause finally died down. Marcus smiled, waited for complete silence. "Thank you. I want to talk today about what truly matters in venture capital." His voice was steady, clear. "No notes. I've been fortunate, very fortunate, but I've also been underestimated, judged, dismissed." Eyes in the audience flickered toward Victoria. She sank lower in her seat. "I've been mistaken for catering staff at events where I was the keynote speaker. I've had people clutch their bags when I enter elevators. I've been asked where I really went to school because surely not Stanford, knowing laughter from the crowd. I've had my intelligence questioned by people who never asked about my background. I've been called aggressive for speaking calmly. I've been told I'm a diversity hire at companies I own." Victoria's face burned. Every word was about yesterday. Everyone knew it. True sophistication isn't about appearances. It's about recognizing talent regardless of packaging. The audience nodded. Someone said yes audibly. "I've walked away from hundreds of millions in deals because leadership showed me who they really are. And I'll do it again every single time." Massive applause. Several people stood. "The best investments I've made weren't in perfect pitch decks or impressive pedigrees. They were in leaders who valued character over comfort, who built diverse teams because it made them stronger, not because it looked good in press releases." He paused, let the words settle. "Yesterday, someone asked me why diversity matters in tech. Here's why. The best ideas come from different perspectives. The strongest companies embrace discomfort. The smartest leaders know their blind spots." More applause, and the worst mistake any founder can make: judging a book by its cover, because you never know who's sitting across from you. The room understood. Heads turned subtly toward the back, toward Victoria. "Davis Capital just closed our largest fund. 2.2 billion for our next investments. We're looking at the data analytics sector, healthcare applications, enterprise solutions." Victoria's heart stopped. Those were Tech Vision's markets. "We found some promising companies, incredible technology, ethical leadership, teams that look like the world they're serving." He smiled. "We're excited about the future." The applause was deafening. Victoria stood shakily, pushed toward the exit. People stepped aside, creating a path, silent, judging. In the hallway, she cornered Marcus as he left the stage. Investors swarmed him. She shoved through. "Mr. Davis, please, I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding." Marcus turned. His expression was polite, professional, cold. "There's no misunderstanding, Ms. Morgan. I was stressed. The company is struggling. I didn't mean you showed me exactly who you are." His voice was quiet, final. "I believe you. Please. Tech Vision needs this investment. Just one meeting. Let me explain." "Ms. Morgan," he didn't raise his voice, didn't need to. "I make investment decisions based on leadership quality, character, values." He adjusted his cufflinks, the same gesture from yesterday. "Yesterday you demonstrated all 3 very clearly, but Davis Capital will not be investing in Tech Vision Analytics. Not now, not ever. This decision is final and non-negotiable." He turned away. 4 investors immediately approached him, blocking Victoria's path. She stood in the hallway alone. The man who could have saved everything walking away, just like she dismissed him yesterday. Her phone rang, board chair. She didn't answer. It rang again, and again. The walls felt like they were closing in. 7 p.m., the emergency board meeting began in a conference room overlooking the bay. Victoria sat at the head of the table. 8 board members on video screens, all faces stone cold. The board chair spoke first. "Victoria, we've reviewed the situation. The video has 34 million views. That's more than the Super Bowl halftime show. It's being taken out of context." "Context?" Another board member cut in. "We watched it from 7 different angles. There's no context that makes this acceptable." A third board member pulled up a spreadsheet. 4 major clients terminated contracts today. Combined annual revenue, 48 million. 3 more are reviewing their relationship with us. That's another 32 million at risk. Victoria's hands clenched under the table. "Our stock valuation has collapsed. This morning we were worth 420 million. Tonight, analysts are saying 190, maybe less. The market will recover." "Victoria, Stanford rescinded your guest lecture invitation. The Women in Tech Leadership Conference removed you from their speaker lineup. Forbes pulled you from their most powerful women list. Each sentence landed like a hammer, and that's just today. Wait until you see tomorrow's news cycle. Her CFO unmuted himself. I've had 13 investor meetings scheduled for next week. All canceled, no rescheduling, just not interested in moving forward. The board chair leaned forward on his screen. Victoria, you understand the severity here? I made a mistake. I'll issue an apology. An apology? The chair's laugh was bitter. You called one of the most respected investors in Silicon Valley uneducated. You questioned his right to be at a professional event. You had security escort him out for asking a legitimate question. I didn't know who he was. Silence. Then the chair spoke slowly, deliberately. That's not a defense. That makes it infinitely worse. Victoria felt the ground shifting beneath her. If you'd known he was a billionaire, you would have treated him differently. You're admitting your respect is transactional, based on perceived wealth and status. That's not what I meant. We've also been contacted by the EEOC. Another board member jumped in. They're launching an investigation into TechVision's hearing practices. Apparently, former employees have been very vocal about their experiences. Victoria's stomach dropped. They're alleging a pattern, not just one incident. Years of discrimination. Her phone buzzed. She glanced down. Email from her attorney. Subject, lawsuit filed, class action, 13 former employees, discrimination, hostile work environment. Wrongful termination. The board has made a decision. The chair's voice turned formal. Cold, you have two options. Resign effective immediately with a standard severance package, or we terminate you for cause and you leave with nothing. You can't do this. I founded this company. You also destroyed it. The chair's face filled her screen. In less than 25 hours, you turned TechVision from a struggling but viable company into a toxic asset no one will touch. I need time to fix. There is no fixing this. Every second you remain CEO, we lose more value, more clients, more credibility. Victoria looked around the virtual table. 8 faces, not one showed sympathy. If I resign, what happens to my equity? You keep your vested shares. Current value approximately 15 million, down from 44 million yesterday. 29 million evaporated because of one video. And if I don't resign, we terminate for cause, morality clause violation, you forfeit unvested equity and bonuses. You leave with roughly 3.2 million. The math was brutal, simple. You have until 10 a.m. tomorrow to decide. We recommend resignation. It looks better for everyone. The screen went black. Meeting ended. Victoria sat alone in the conference room. City lights glittered below. She'd had dinner reservations tonight at Canley's, celebrating TechVision's bright future. Her phone rang. Her husband, Victoria, we need to talk. His voice was wrong, distant. Not now. My firm called. They're concerned about association. My partners think we should consider separation. What? I filed for divorce. Papers will be served tomorrow. It will be. I'm sorry. The line went dead. Victoria stared at the phone. Marriage gone. Company gone. Reputation gone. Her assistant knocked softly, entered with a box. Building security asked me to help you clear your office tonight. They want your badge and laptop before you leave. I haven't resigned yet. The board sent an email. They've locked your access, effective immediately. Victoria stood on shaking legs, walked to her corner office. Her assistant followed with the empty box. Photos came off the wall, awards into the box. Personal items. 9 years packed up in 31 minutes. She left through the back exit. No goodbye, no final speech. Just a cardboard box and a baseball cap pulled low. Outside, a photographer caught her anyway. That photo would be on every tech blog by morning. 4 weeks later, the EEOC investigation went public. Federal investigators had subpoenaed 6 years of TechVision emails, hearing records, and performance reviews. What they found made national news. The press conference filled CNN's morning slot. Our investigation reveals a systematic pattern of discrimination at TechVision Analytics. The EEOC director stood behind a podium flanked by attorneys. We've identified 49 instances of racial bias in hearing, promotion, and compensation decisions. Reporters leaned forward, cameras flashing. The numbers are stark. People of color represented 49% of qualified applicants. Only 3% were hired. Of those hired, none were promoted to management in 6 years. A slide appeared on the screen behind her. Statistical analysis, pay gaps, promotion rates. The disparity was undeniable. We also found email evidence of explicit bias. Another slide. Victoria's own words in black and white. Let's keep the team culture fit. You know what I mean? Written after interviewing a black candidate with a PhD. I don't think clients will relate to him. About a Latino sales candidate. The room erupted with questions. By noon, 13 former employees had filed a class action lawsuit. By evening, the number grew to 21. The lead plaintiff was Jennifer Williams, 29 years old, black, former marketing manager. Her story led every news outlet. I was the only black woman on my team. Jennifer sat across from a CNN anchor, composed but angry. Victoria told me in my first week that I needed to tone down my style. She said my natural hair was distracting and unprofessional. What happened when you complained? I was fired 3 weeks later. They said I wasn't a cultural fit. Jennifer's jaw tightened. That phrase, it's code, everyone knows what it means. Michael Chen told his story to Bloomberg. Asian American, senior engineer, passed over for promotion 6 times despite top performance reviews. Victoria told me Asians are good at executing, not leading. She said it to my face in front of my team. Carlos Martinez spoke to TechCrunch, Latino developer, paid $33,000 less than his white colleague, same role, hired the same month, identical qualifications. When I asked for equal pay, they said my communication style wasn't leadership material. I have a master's degree from Stanford. My colleague had a bachelor's from a state school. The pattern was overwhelming, undeniable. 7 months later, the trial began. Federal courthouse downtown Seattle. Media circus outside, protesters with signs, justice for tech vision victims. Racism has consequences. Victoria arrived in a cheap suit. No designer bag, no confidence. She'd lost 32 pounds. Her hair showed gray roots. Inside, the prosecution presented their case with surgical precision. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecutor stood before the screen. You've seen the video that started this. But that was just one day, one moment. We're here to show you this happened every day for years. Exhibit A, the conference video, played in full. The jury watched in silence. Several shook their heads. The prosecutor paused it at key moments. Notice her body language, the recoil, the disgust. This is visceral prejudice. Exhibit B, email trail. Hundreds of messages. Victoria's words projected 12 feet high. A pattern emerged with each email. Coded language, dog whistles, explicit bias. One juror, a black woman in her 50s, took notes steadily. Exhibit C, statistical analysis. An economist testified for 3 hours. Charts, graphs, probability models. The likelihood of this hearing pattern occurring without bias is less than 0.01%. Statistically impossible. Exhibit D, comparison footage. The prosecution had gathered security camera footage from the conference. Victoria shaking hands enthusiastically with 16 white investors. Laughing, warm, open body language, then the clip with Marcus, same event, minutes apart. The contrast was devastating. She had no problem shaking hands that day. The prosecutor let the silence hang, just not with him. Victoria's defense attorney tried damage control. Argued stress, market pressure, misunderstanding. It fell flat. Then Victoria took the stand. Her attorney had advised against it. She insisted. Ms. Morgan, the prosecutor, approached slowly. Why didn't you shake Mr. Davis's hand? I don't recall exactly. You don't recall? We have 7 camera angles. Shall we play it again? No, I mean I was distracted, stressed about the presentation. You shook 16 other hands that hour. You weren't too stressed for them. Victoria's face reddened. You called security on Mr. Davis. Why? He made me uncomfortable. How? He was standing 6 feet away. Silent, hands at his sides. What was uncomfortable? The way he was yes, he was what? Silence. Ms. Morgan, please complete your sentence. He was what? I don't know, something felt off. Something felt off. The prosecutor nodded slowly. Can you explain what specifically? Victoria couldn't, or wouldn't. You told him he probably couldn't write basic code. Had you asked about his education? No, but so you assumed, based on what information, his appearance, he wasn't dressed professionally. Mr. Davis was wearing a $600 Tom Ford shirt and $1,000 shoes. But you saw something else, didn't you? Victoria's lawyer objected. The judge overruled. I saw someone who didn't fit. Didn't fit what, Ms. Morgan? Didn't fit your image of what a successful investor looks like. Victoria's hands trembled. Elijah testified on day 5. Calm, factual, no anger. When I extended my hand, she looked at it like I was offering her something toxic. His voice was steady. She put both hands behind her back. That's a deliberate choice. A conscious rejection. How did that make you feel? Honestly, for about 32 seconds I doubted myself. Wondered if maybe I was too forward, too casual, too black. Several jurors looked down. That's what this kind of treatment does. It makes you question your own reality, your own worth. The defense attorney cross-examined. Mr. Davis, isn't it possible you're being oversensitive? Marcus's response was measured, powerful. I've built a billion-dollar company while being told I'm not sophisticated enough. I've been mistaken for staff at events I'm keynoting. I've had people ask who let you in at companies I own. Am I oversensitive? Or is the bar for what I have to endure just set that much higher? The courtroom was silent. The jury deliberated for 5 hours. They returned with a verdict, guilty on all counts. Federal civil rights violations, corporate discrimination, perjury, fraud. The judge read the sentence 3 weeks later. Ms. Morgan, your behavior wasn't a mistake. It was a pattern spanning years. You had every advantage: wealth, education, opportunity. You used those advantages to demean and discriminate. Victoria stood, face pale. You showed Mr. Davis and others that in your eyes they were less than human. This sentence reflects not just what you did, but who you showed yourself to be. 19 months in federal prison, 4 years supervised release, $260,000 fine, 520 hours of community service teaching diversity awareness, permanent ban from serving as a corporate officer. Victoria swayed. Her lawyer caught her elbow. Additionally, you are personally liable for $8.3 million in damages. The corporate veil is pierced due to the egregious and personal nature of your conduct. The gavel fell. Outside, the plaintiffs gathered on the courthouse steps. Jennifer Williams spoke to the cameras, confident, vindicated. This isn't just about money. It's about accountability. It's about saying this behavior has consequences. Reporters shouted questions. What's next for you? I'm starting my own company, and we're hearing. Behind her, Michael Chen and Carlos Martinez stood with their attorneys, all smiling. Justice had been served. 7 months after sentencing, Marcus Davis stood at a podium in the Seattle Convention Center. Behind him, a screen displayed photos of 52 diverse founders, their companies, their teams, their success stories. The Tech Diversity Summit drew 2,100 attendees, investors, founders, students, all here to talk about change. That day at the conference, I had a choice. Marcus's voice was calm, reflective. I could respond with anger, or I could respond with purpose. The audience leaned forward. Walking away with dignity was more powerful than any confrontation. Because I knew something Victoria Morgan didn't, he paused. Excellence doesn't need to prove itself to prejudice. It just needs to outlast it. Applause filled the hall. 7 months ago, Davis Capital launched a $520 million fund dedicated to underrepresented founders. Today, we've invested in 25 companies. 62% are led by people of color. Combined valuation, $4.3 billion. The screen changed. Success stories. Companies that changed industries. Jobs created. Lives changed. 6 of them are now unicorns, worth over $1 billion each. More applause. Victoria Morgan told me I probably couldn't write basic code. These founders are writing the algorithms that power your phones, your cars, your healthcare. In the 4th row, Jennifer Williams sat with her co-founders. Her startup, a diversity recruiting platform, had just closed a $16 million Series A funded by Davis Capital. She'd used her settlement money to start it. Now she employed 63 people. 71% from underrepresented backgrounds. She tried to silence me. Jennifer told a reporter later, "Now I have a microphone and I'm using it." Michael Chen sat 3 rows behind her. His AI company had raised $22 million. He'd hired 73 employees, intentionally diverse, deliberately inclusive. Victoria said Asians couldn't lead. He'd told TechCrunch, "I'm leading 82 people now, and we're changing an industry." Carlos Martinez wasn't at the summit. He was at Microsoft headquarters running a team of 53 engineers. He donated his settlement to a scholarship fund for Latino computer science students. 13 students had received full rides so far. On stage, Marcus continued. Racism isn't always burning crosses and slurs. Sometimes it's a refused handshake, an assumption about intelligence, a question about where you really belong. Heads nodded throughout the audience. But here's what people like Victoria don't understand. Their hate is temporary. Our excellence is permanent. The applause was thunderous. Every door they close, we build our own building. Every investment they refuse, we fund ourselves. Every time they say we don't belong, we create spaces where everyone does. The screen showed statistics. Black founders receive less than 2% of VC funding despite comprising 13% of the population. Companies with diverse leadership outperform peers by 37%. Discrimination costs the U.S. economy $67 billion annually. These numbers should make you angry, Marcus said, but anger without action is just noise. So here's what we're doing. He outlined new initiatives, mentorship programs, investment funds, policy changes. 49 tech conferences had adopted anti-discrimination policies inspired by what happened to Victoria. We're calling it the Morgan effect. When consequences are so severe, so public, that behavior changes industry-wide. Victoria herself was barely mentioned. She'd been released from federal prison 3 weeks ago after serving 15 months. She worked at a Target in Federal Way now. Cashier. Minimum wage. Her LinkedIn profile claimed she was a diversity consultant. She had 0 clients. Every inquiry ended the same way. Someone would search her name, see the video, decline, she'd try to come back, a Medium blog about learning and growth. The comments destroyed her. She deleted it within hours. Some people say she's suffered enough. A reporter had asked Marcus last week, "Do you agree?" "I don't think about Victoria Morgan anymore." He replied, "I think about the 13 employees she discriminated against who now run successful companies. I think about the 52 founders we've funded who might have been dismissed by someone like her. That's where my energy goes." Now on stage, he delivered his closing message. To anyone watching who's been judged before speaking, who's had their intelligence questioned, who's been told they don't belong, the room went silent. Your worth isn't determined by their bias. It's proven by your character, your work, your refusal to shrink. Young founders in the audience wiped their eyes. They will underestimate you. Let them. Then show them what underestimated looks like when it has a billion-dollar exit. Standing ovation, 2,100 people on their feet. The screen changed one final time. Text appeared. If this story resonated with you, share it, not for views, but because someone needs to hear it. Comment below with your own experience. You're not alone. Subscribe to Black Voices for more stories where justice prevails. Because the only thing necessary for discrimination to thrive is for good people to do nothing. 3 questions appeared on screen. Would Victoria have treated Marcus differently if he'd worn an expensive suit? Have you ever witnessed discrimination and stayed silent? What will you do the next time you see it happen? The final image faded in. Excellence is the best response to prejudice. Marcus Davis. The lights came up. The conversation had only just begun. At Black Voices Uncut, we don't polish away the pain or water down the message. We tell it like it is because the truth deserves nothing less. If today's story spoke to you, click like. Join the conversation in the comments. And subscribe so you'll be here for the next Uncut Voice. Where are you from? Tell us in the comments below. And if you're loving this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more.